today's question is, could you describe what trauma drive is? Okay, so, well, first of all, we have to determine what trauma is. And trauma is not what most people believe it is. It's not your teacher shouting at you, or your best friend not calling you back, or any of these things where you hear people say, "Oh my God, it's been so traumatic." That's not trauma. Trauma describes the emotional effects of an absolutely devastating experience, such as suffering from sexual abuse or coming face to face with death itself. So obviously, trauma isn't good at all, and something that we should all try and avoid at all costs, of course. However, sometimes even bad experiences can be employed for positive purposes. And then this brings us to the phenomenon called trauma drive. Now, trauma drive refers to the psychological and emotional drive or motivation effectuated by trauma. It's a coping mechanism that shapes the behavior of those affected by trauma in a way that helps them to avoid and overcome these kinds of experiences. Now, experiencing a traumatic response entails entering survival mode. And trauma drive means being constantly driven by this survival mode. And this often drives people towards striving to be more successful in life, or whatever, as they constantly are driven towards acquiring, I suppose, more and more as a means of ensuring their own survival. But constantly being in survival mode and constantly being stressed out can lead not only to fatigue and burnout, but can also manifest in things such as PTSD, anxiety, depression, especially if the underlying trauma remains completely unaddressed. So, in short, trauma drive can, I suppose, productively serve as a motivator to success in the short term, but its long term effects can be absolutely devastating to a person's mental health and eventually to a person's overall well being. And for this reason, unresolved trauma must absolutely be treated by a mental health professional. And what concerns me is I'm seeing an awful lot of TikTok videos glamorizing trauma drive and putting it on a pedestal as if it's something that is very positive. And I mean, I've even heard people say, well, without my trauma, I wouldn't be this successful. And whilst it may be true to an extent, we really shouldn't be glamorizing trauma drive or aspiring to have trauma drive. Yes. So it's not something that we should be aspiring toward.